We are live. This is the market update, your wartime evening market update at the new time, 8 p.m. Eastern. America first. Yeah, America first. We are going to fight in the Middle East again. Now, this morning, everyone was like, well, it's over. So we went from World War III to it was over in 3 days. Now, if you want to drink some positive Kool-Aid, if we do get involved, it felt like the Fed was goosing the market with high-powered money this morning. So that could limit any dip, assuming oil doesn't go vertical. What a lot of people forget is that when Saddam Hussein was going to, lose in the final days, he destroyed his own oil wells, scorched earth. And I think it's obvious that, frankly, Israel and the United States want Iran's military capabilities completely destroyed, if not the whole country completely destroyed, right? This talk this morning that, such and such people want peace deals. They don't want peace deals. Both parties want the other party done, is in rubble. Now, here's what's probably going to happen geopolitically. United States is getting involved. A lot of people protesting against the Orange Man, and he pretty much told people where to go stick that. Interesting for the credibility of sovereigns. I have no idea how, even if there is a dip, and there probably will be, that is not just the golden opportunity to say, done with sovereigns telling us one thing and doing another. It's the greatest case for crypto ever. Okay. But with that said, nobody knows what the next leg of this looks like, particularly since there's talk that the Iranians have not even really fired their big missiles at Israel yet. So with them, their military equipment, all of their military equipment is use it or lose it. And supposedly our involvement is imminent. Now, going back to the market and going back to our involvement historically, this was true a long time ago. This was, a historic thing that frequently, once the U.S. becomes involved in some kind of foreign conflict, markets go up because they assume it's over because we deliver the decisive shot. And people have said, geopolitical commentators, that, radiation has a very specific signature. So as soon as they got to a point where they were actually going to have the nuclear capability or the ability to make it, that us and Israel were going in. Don't make any illusions about it. So on one hand, it's kind of all predictable. On the other hand, the market swings back and forth between World War III and everything's fine. And honestly, I think it's more like the Cuban Missile Crisis. We're going to go over that because that's the latest research in Patreon Platinum. We also covered kind of like a quickie, Gan and Woo-centric YouTube member podcast. So if you wanted the quick, the fast, the interesting, the relevant, the single coin focus, because we went over a lot of coins that we liked this morning on the YouTube member area. So we got kind of a new show going on there, a new version of the show on Monday where we give it to you quick, like in 25 minutes. So if you need to know what to buy, if this thing goes down again, that's the show to get to. Okay, let's welcome who's here, and then let's plow into all the cool stuff that we got for you today. As one guy says, we have a big show for you tonight. Baby Whale, Search Agent, what's up? Indie Rock Crypto is here. Grandpa Keeter in the house. Happy belated Father's Day. I'm not Bruce or Cliff. GF. I'm not Bruce or Cliff, ready with coffee and nicotine. Thomas, Joe, a member, Gian, Tango FN. Gian joining us live from Italy this morning. Strong. Patriot Caveman, Gavin, a member. Degen Joe, a member. What's up? Bob, if you're out there. Felix, right? Right. Felix says go live at this time because that's when it all happens. The Fuss Crypto says when Lambo. Indie Rock Crypto says oil crashing. Oil did crash. Oil's never been worried about it. Oil's like what? Us worry? Brick Dreams, the Orange Man is cooked. Duilo, Madrid checking in. Oof. Listen, the Orange Man is going to moon your bags. Because the credibility of sovereigns, it's going to affect dollar. It's going to affect government bonds, which we still don't know how they're going to react to all this. Oil doesn't care. So this is a giant nothing burger. I went to get gas today. I expected to pay $1 more than I was usually paying. I paid $2.68 in Texas. It's like zero concern about this, which frankly worries me. Okay. When Bill starts an OnlyFans, we know crypto is not a safe bet anymore. Folks, that is not happening. That is not happening, but we do appreciate you consuming our research, supporting yourself and the channel. So Patreon Platinum, you got a lot of you got some, frankly, some kick-ass research in here. We have the June window, right? Solana and ETH got a nice little trading rally per some of what was in here. And then, I kind of went in here with the Cuban Missile Crisis, saying that there's a lot of Gann parallels between what's going on now and what's going on then. That was 13 days of extreme worry before it was over. And when it was over, you'd be surprised what happened to markets or not. And you should check that out. Because the idea that this is all going to be orderly, like first was the end of the world, then it was over in 3 days. You're about to see things on the tape. You're probably about to see mutually assured destruction, right? Like we're going to come in to make sure Israel doesn't get totally destroyed. And a lot of people are going to meet their end, which is what they promised us won't happen. What does this have to do with crypto? Well, just like in the YouTube member podcast, right? The YouTube member podcast says it all. Okay. She'll never quit. Toby in her leather motorcycle outfit. Are crypto investors ready for the golden dip opportunity? Like when they smack it, and they're going to smack it, I think, off whatever's going to happen next, because I don't think they're expecting the level of fireworks, right? They've been getting like hypersonic missiles, like 100 at a time. What happens if they get 1,000 in one night? So you get the golden dip. The Fed's coming in. Sovereigns are just crazy banana pants. I want out of the system. Buy crypto. And by the way, John McAfee's back in a whole new way, and it's moving to token. We'll go over that. Okay, news right now. Let's go. Let's go. All righty. So, America first. We're changing the definition. How interesting. America first means many great things, including Iran not having a nuclear weapon. Really? Is that so? Nick says Trump has now turned on Tucker Carlson and claims that America first also means fighting for, the blue and white, Israel. This is exactly why I didn't vote for Trump in 2024 and chose to stay home, even though I was relentlessly attacked for it. Everyone is finding out who are real America First MAGA and who are fake and just said it because it was popular. Unfortunately, the list of fakes are becoming quite long and exposed. Okay, so for anybody who is not from the United States, The orange man is losing support from his base. I mean, I know there's some people who are going to go along with it no matter what, but this was part of the platform, right? No foreign wars, not doing it. Well, guess what? We're doing it. We didn't get the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now we're getting the SOS. Same old sovereigns. Get away from them as fast as you can. This was why headed into today, ETH DeFi was just like Banana Zone, Uniswap, Sky, Aave, right? Off to the races. Aero, smoking. Banks are coming into DeFi. That's it. Toby Ward's been telling you that for a very long time. It's happening, right? The worse these guys behave, right? And then I think that this is just my opinion that, no one is worried about this and there could be like a big scare. Cuban Missile Crisis was like started slow and then resulted in a huge amount of fear before it was over. We'll see if that repeats itself, right? Most likely there's a huge amount of fear and then that's the end. That's what the market is saying. And that's what oil's saying too. We'll see. In either case, if you're not done with sovereigns, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him get a television network so that people will listen. So here's what really happened. Tucker took Nick Fuentes' talking points because Nick Fuentes is just viral. Tucker took the talking points, fed them to the president so the president could say, shut up, I'm in charge. Some of the president's followers will buy that he knows best. We'll see. The critics after this, if we get involved in this, the critics, like I said, they just lie. That's the key for crypto. Okay, so we're not getting involved and we're getting involved. Aircraft carriers, refueling planes. Be interested to see what the Russians and the Chinese have to say about this. Again, it was World War III 3 days ago. Now it's not. I mean, I don't think it is, but there can be unintended consequences, and this may or may not be clean. That's all. And if you get the golden dip in crypto, you got to get after it. U.S. fighter jets are supposedly already in. All right, and just in case we're clear about this, they want the Iranian leader out, obviously. He's a super radical guy. Their own country doesn't really like the government, but the government is more than one guy. Okay, and Netanyahu is trying to say that New York is next. I think it's pretty clear he'll say anything to get us involved because, their civilians are getting hurt. I watched a video where somebody was trying to, get viral and take missile video on their cell phone and their house got hit. And the end of the video is like 30 to 45 seconds left of people screaming. And then I just said, I'm never getting off crypto ever. Ever. Especially if the Fed is in supporting everything. Like as soon as we go in to prevent a disaster, the Fed's going to come in with high-powered money. That's what I think. In other words, U.S. involvement, deep state. If you do deep state things, you get deep state cooperation from the Fed. Fed's not going to cut rates, right? But the Fed will come in and say, well, we're worried about oil and we're going to soften things up, expect that kind of talk, and expect money to come into the system. So if they go in and oil spikes to 100, crypto will dip, and then that's the dip. That's where you grab it. That's where you grab it. It's that simple. Iran will use a ceasefire to produce a nuclear weapon. In other words, we want the entire country destroyed. Destroyed. Destroyed, fragmented, done. That's what they've been doing all over the Middle East. We've been doing it for them. We're going to do it again. Again, evaluate your position in U.S. Treasuries and the U.S. dollar accordingly. Okay, so again, true, but don't do the victory lap. So to everybody who thinks it's World War III, if there was a 50% chance of a world war, the S&P wouldn't be at the all-time high. In fact, the S&P would be down 30%, gold would be at 5,000, and oil would be at 100. And that's true, right? If we thought this was going to spread, markets would freak out, and markets are not freaking out at all. At all. And I think the issue is the Fed with high-powered money and the credibility of sovereigns once we go in. Now, this, of course, assumes that the Russians and the Chinese don't do anything. Remember, the Russians got absolutely embarrassed in Ukraine on that massive drone attack and have not retaliated at all. So if we go in and start messing around with the Chinese oil supply or a Russian ally, I don't know. World War III, it's not. Are there surprises left? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Despite the headlines, markets, we are far from that. Yes, that was a good observation. That was a great thing to say and fade, which is what we did when it was World War III and all this stuff. It was the end of the world. No, it's not the end of the world. It's just the end of our faith in governments. That's what it's the end of. Okay, so 200 refueling aircraft. This is when everybody started backing off. You know, it's going to take 2 weeks of airstrikes to get this, you know, to get Iran in rubble, which is where they want it, right? I mean, if they turned Gaza into rubble, it stands to reason that they want to do the same thing with the Iranians. Now, will the Iranians light up their own oil supply? Like if they say, we're going down, we're taking the oil with us. In a truly funny twist, Pakistan is now, Michael Saylor is now on the payroll in Pakistan. Ironically, they were talking about nuking Israel before they hired Michael Saylor. It's funny. I like this because he's consulting with Pakistan and not us. Where's the strategic reserve? Where's the sovereign wealth fund? Steak and Shake is doing Bitcoin and Uncle Sugar isn't. And if they lied about this war, what else are they lying about? Like Congress took out no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Gone. Gone. They're going to do what they want. And actually, Putin said it best. American presidents do what they're told. They're not leaders, they're followers. They want war, they're going to get war. That's it. And then you have to say, well, do I want to be in this system or not? ETH DeFi this morning was telling you. And my attitude on ETH is, and it's my attitude on Solana and XRP, and it was my attitude this morning, that a lot of this stuff has either gone nowhere or gone down in the case of ETH. So when you do get what I think is the golden dip, it's not the golden age, it's the golden dip. If you get the golden dip, if you get the final Cuban Missile Crisis, oh my God, fear trade, fade that. You faded the euphoria this morning. We'll go over an XRP chart where the DeMark work, perfectly defines the range. Trending will breed itself, meaning once it starts trending, it keeps trending. Sitting around doing nothing can breed itself, meaning the longer it just sits and does nothing, the longer it can just sit there. And that's the true with range trading, right? All the way up, all the way down, everyone buying the top, selling the bottom. That's been going on for several days, and that may continue. We'll go over the charts. Matter of fact, let's go over it now. So here's a classic case of what's going on in XRP, right? This is when the DeMark 9 signal comes in handy. So 9 bottom, rally. 9 top, decline. 9 bottom, rally. 9 bottom, rally. 9 top, very emotional 9 top. This is an XRP to $2.32, and then they drop it. Now, of course, they're after it on any dip because I think the Fed is in, and because I think, altcoin ETFs are inevitable, right? Altcoin summer is probably going to happen, especially after the summer solstice. Again, the GAN work in Patreon Platinum has been absolutely spot on the money, right? Buy ETH right away, off the dip, do a tactical trade in Solana, which was nice. And then, expect volatility now. And then after the solstice, there's multiple GAN inflection points. Please come check that out. Please come check that out. Because again, the golden dip is coming. It's coming. Everyone just thought, it was over today. Not over today. Okay, so this was the sentiment this morning. It's true and not true. Looks like fading war FUD was the right thing to do. It is. It is. But you have to make sure you're fading FUD, not FOMOing in. That seems to have been the war lows. There's plenty of underexposed and sidelined capital, which is probably true. A lot of people got out. Meme coins starting to look good. And I can't shake the vibe that things could get a lot more exciting. Meaning, once this is over, crypto is going to rally like you've never seen. I mean, it's just going to go absolutely vertical. Today was a preview of that. And I think, again, as the title of the stream says, if risk assets go down, if stonks go down, or if oil goes up more than expected, you're going to see the Fed. You're going to see massive printing. You're seeing it already. Right? Just massive. Because, I mean, anybody who thought this was over today, in my mind, was crazy. It's like we got aircraft carriers steaming for the region. What are you talking about? Everyone's acting like everyone's going to put their stuff down and stop fighting. They're going to fight harder. The Fed was in today. And if it goes down hard again, the Fed will be back in. And that is stupid bullish for crypto. Just stupid bullish. Again, it's only a question of trade location at this point. The dollarization of crypto continues. Global liquidity, right? So, I mean, I know I make fun. We have M2 experts, tariff experts, and over the weekend, everybody was a Strait of Hormuz oil expert. M2 is expanding, and the Fed is going to put high-powered money in the system. Massively, right? Deep state gets war, you get Fed support. That's how it works. That's how it works. And then the next thing you know, Powell will be on, well, we have war and that's very uncertain, so we may have to cut rates. Watch. Watch all the language switch. Watch the language switch. We get involved, Powell's language will switch. And again, you get a dip, it's the golden dip. It's the golden dip of America. Because everything you got told in the campaign, all of it, right? They're going to moon your bags. They're going to moon your bags, just not in a way you thought. We're going to go over the charts. We'll see what the bond market and the dollar has to say about this. Because one thing that I think is really interesting for crypto is what happens if the bond market takes a look at extended U.S. involvement in this and goes up. These guys are going to print money forever for the war machine. Now, again, this, we could get involved. It could be over in 3 days. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is crazy. I want a dip and I want more fear, and I'm probably going to get it. Fear greed is at 61. Fear greed is at 61. That's lower than it's been when Bitcoin was up. People were more upset about the tariffs. People were hysterically bearish about the tariffs. Fear, greed, and equities went to 0 on tariffs. This situation is way more dangerous. Way more dangerous. I mean, do you realize what happens to equities if oil goes to 100? I mean, they sold oil today with reckless abandon. Oil never really went up. No one's afraid. That's what bothers me. Everyone was afraid for one day. It wasn't exactly rational because everyone said it was world war. I'm just kind of wondering if regional war gets really hot for like 10 days. Then what? This is not a high number. It's not a low number either, but it's like people are not really afraid. They're not. And, you know, that's okay. But at the moment that they become afraid, you're going to get the price action that you want. You're going to get the nasty dip that you want. I hope there's a nasty dip. And then, God, if there is no nasty dip in crypto, I don't know, man. It's like look out above. Then all that GAN research is right that, you know, it's going to come a point in June where they're like, yeah, I want this thing now. You know, it's like the GAN report discusses how altcoin summer comes about and how to trade it, which is why you should get your in there as soon as possible. Okay, so TikTok trader kidnapped to get the crypto in his house. Interesting. It used to be a joke that you would keep crypto in a bank vault, in a safety deposit box. I don't think that's a joke anymore. I don't. Early Bitcoin adopter says we could have another 100x cycle. Okay. So I did note on my Twitter that there's now a $43 million Bitcoin target. Basically, if all the assets in the world either get sucked into Bitcoin or Bitcoin becomes the denomination for every asset in the world, we now have a $43 million per coin target. At the same time as we have Coinbase sponsoring a U.S. Army parade, which unfortunately for patriots will never not be cringe. So painful. So painful. Coinbase commercials and no price too high. That to me smells like a downside. That smells like risk of whoosh. Give me that dip, baby. Bring it to me. Bring it to me. Right? Bring it to me. TradFi's deep liquidity issue is a silent structural risk. Translated into English, there's no liquidity anywhere. I don't think there's any liquidity in crypto. There's definitely no liquidity in TradFi. There's no volume. Everyone is just frozen in their tracks over this conflict. Nobody knows what to do. I'm trying to maintain my brand as the guy who does know what to do and is honest. Right? You got two parties over there who want total destruction of the other party. And we're getting involved. And when that happens, you get unpredictable events. You get very thin liquidity because nobody wants to play. You could get wild action that I'm hoping we can take advantage of. ETF filings explode. So this was another thing this morning that got everybody going. It's what got XRP going. I can't believe XRP hasn't moved. But, this geopolitical thing, I don't know. But you're going to have a Solana ETF and you're going to have an XRP ETF. If for no other reason that this administration, after it gets done, I don't know, losing half of its base, they got to bring the crypto bros back in. Like if you want to hear something bullish, that's the thing that's bullish. Like if the political base is upset, the crypto bro base will love it if they get ETFs going. And again, where's my sovereign wealth fund? Forget the strategic reserve. Where's the sovereign wealth fund? They're collecting billions in tariffs. That should be going into sovereign wealth fund. And they should be buying Bitcoin. Right? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Can you believe MetaPlanet now has more Bitcoin than Coinbase? Man, you better get your Bitcoin off exchanges. Whew. I hear like the bid offer spread in Bitcoin on Coinbase is outrageously huge. Like if you want to buy Bitcoin, it's at 110. If you want to sell it, it's 103. It's crazy. Like the market for Bitcoin on exchanges is breaking, which means again, downside in that is going to be met with buyers, right? If there's a reason to sell, you're going to have people coming in there with both hands. And again, any bad behavior in the Middle East by governments, they may not sell Bitcoin at all. Because again, how much BS can we listen to before we go, we want a different system? It's that simple. Okay. Is Bitcoin beeping on MACD? Here's MACD, right? Williams' awesome oscillator is similar. All the technicals are bullish when it's going up, and all the technicals are bearish when it's going down. Okay, I like this. Is Ethereum digital oil? All right, let's get something going with Ethereum on a narrative. Look, it's destroyed. If you're an ETH fan, you've already lived with the downside. You already lived with 1,300. Where the heck is it going? It's going back down to 1,300 again? No, it's not. No, it's not. Because, again, DeFi, alternative systems. Everything that was wrong with treasuries, because there is something wrong with treasuries, right? Like one video last week was that Michael Saylor says war brings a change in how people feel about new paradigms. People who don't want to get with the new paradigms, get with the new paradigm during war. And if there is a final dip, a final scare, a final, oh my God, as it relates to this, this could create Bitcoin adoption. No one is talking about this. People could go, wow, I don't want treasury bonds. I want Bitcoin. In a way, all this bad behavior is so bullish, it's insane. The only question is, where do you buy it? Hello, Victor. Havoc, what's up? Right? Nice pump on antivirus. Yeah. We're going to go over that. And it's so funny. They brought John McAfee back with like his videos of him like singing with his parrot and drinking scotch. And that moved the project. I don't care. Whatever moves the project. We have serious AI and fun John McAfee videos in person. And again, with the orange man losing his base, I'm completely comfortable being on Team McAfee. Summer lull offers inexpensive trading opportunity. Right? A lot of times the quiet market in Bitcoin is not always bullish. I prefer like up, down, wind it up, wind it up, wind it up, and then go. That's what I prefer. Ton-based protocol wants to be a super app. Everyone wanted this at $8. No one wants to touch it at $3. No one. And I don't know if this project can be public, like issue stock. Tron's doing it. Tron made a big payment to the orange man at World Liberty Financial up front. And next thing you know, they're going public. Join the club. Seriously, it's a giant club. And there's one thing, the phone thing, which we'll go into, it's a little bit cheesy. They're getting a little bit cheesy trying to make money off the fact that dad's president. But then again, I don't blame them because they know how the sausage is made. And they know when power swings back to the left, they're going to have to move to a different planet. They're going to need all the money that they can get. Crypto funds, $1.9 billion in inflows. Okay. Again, no one wanted it at 77, but it's much more attractive at 110. And again, if you get the dip, maybe you got the dip 5 minutes before I went on the air. Maybe that was the dip. Or maybe we're going to have a Cuban Missile Crisis scare and a spike in oil. Man, if that's the case, if they smash this market, God, that is the dip to get in. Bitcoin-backed loans. So no one's ever going to sell Bitcoin, except apparently at Steak and Shake. Guess that's just fun. Can't believe anybody would sell Bitcoin for burgers, but they are, because I guess it's fun. I guess if you have that much of it, going and getting a burger is fun. And, I'm all about fun. I am. Fun's working for McAfee, so more fun for everybody. U.S. listed Bitcoin miner shares, record hash rate. Wow, favorable coverage of Bitcoin miners from investment bank. They must watch the show. They must watch the show. Hyperliquid becomes 5th largest token. DeFi, trading, Uniswap, Hyperliquid, right? Sky, formerly Maker, right? Sonic, Aave. Dude, the banks are coming, man. Huge. Banks are going to take your money and go into DeFi. That's what they're going to do. That's how people are going to get yield on crypto. The yield curve in crypto, I know, as distasteful as it is, welcome to the new distasteful world. If you want cyberpunk, you got to go privacy. You got to go antivirus. You got to go in that direction. Monero. AI McAfee did a video on Monero, right? You're going to trade this in sections. The future of money. Then it's going to be DeFi led by banks, as Toby predicted. Again, YouTube member area, man. Like, we make people money. We make people money, right? And that Patreon Platinum area, I mean, GAN software is $3,000 a year, $4,000 a year. We're charging way less than that. Way less than that in Patreon Platinum. Way less. Tron to go public. Being friends with the orange man pays. Let's not make any doubt about it. It's like if you pay the Godfather, you join the family, you're in. Hong Kong's meme strategy. First Hong Kong listed company to buy Solana. One thing about Solana and Ethereum that people do not realize is that stable coins and the stable coin explosion is going to run on ETH and Solana and probably XRP. Circle is on XRP Ledger, a massively underreported story. Matter of fact, I think the whole stable coin narrative is what's going to help the SEC go, okay, Solana, XRP, all right. People buying the Ethereum ETF, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Right? And when it does, watch out on the upside. You got to take whatever negativity they give you. You got to take the lemons and turn them into lemonade. I want to fade all these sentiment extremes like World War III, it's over. You just fade all of that. And then they give you the dip you've always wanted. I'm exiting Coinbase. I don't like Coinbase anymore. What the hell is this? What is this? I thought crypto was anti-establishment. I don't know. I hate crypto commercials. You could go either way on this, right? I mean, everybody was okay with Coinbase being at the crypto summit when the strategic reserve was coming. Now they're not okay. It's the cringe, it's the contrarian cringe factor, along with the $43 million target. Again, Coinbase commercials. Stop it. I hate commercials. Stop it. CoinShares filing for a Solana ETF. The Solana and an XRP ETF thing is going to be the real deal. I mean, retail in XRP has been dying. Give me some content. Give me any reason to like XRP. It's incredible, right? It was the Made in America cryptos. And again, the pivot back to the Made in America cryptos. Like, if we're going to get involved in this thing in the Middle East to the extent that we already are, and you have you had the far right leave actually before the election. Now you have the middle right exiting, right? Leaning just, really the soft, kind of like patriotic crowd, right? Probably firmly supporting what's going on here. And that's fine. But, American pilots and soldiers start coming home in boxes. That changes optics. And the optics of this administration are awful and have been for a while. They are going to have to pivot back to crypto, which is why I think that if there's a nasty dip, or maybe the nasty dip has already occurred. Stonks, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know about stonks. You get oil back at 100. I don't know. And even if that doesn't happen, stonks as like, what their long-term returns are going to be, even if it doesn't dip, I don't know. Where's the upside over there? Where's the narrative? Where's the story? There is none. There isn't any. I'm serious. There just isn't any. I'd be happy if it made a new high. That'd be great for crypto. But your long-term upside is clearly in crypto. A lot of guys are talking about a 10x in Bitcoin. Again, that's a little scary. I'd love to talk about 120 or 180. 43 million? No. But one guy who does believe in massively higher prices, the guy's conviction is unbelievable. The guy believes that, government bonds aren't going to be a safe haven anymore. Bitcoin's going to be the safe haven. He bought $1 billion. He's just like, yeah, I'll take $1 billion at 104. Now he's aggressively buying a dip. Normally you'd see Saylor buying it at the top. Now he's just like, I want it right now. And after seeing Jordan Peterson, we talked about this on a prior stream about how the guy was educated at MIT. He read sci-fi. He read fantasies. You're never getting this guy off Bitcoin. And you know what? After listening to him, he's more right than he's ever been. He's more right than he's ever been about not just Bitcoin, but the whole ecosystem. Right? I mean, McAfee, we need decentralized everything. If we're going to go sci-fi, we need the whole universe. Like, Toby's into sci-fi. Toby's whole thought process about the technology component of crypto. It's all undervalued. It's all sitting there. It's basically at zero. It's like winter. It's all sitting there waiting, right? All sitting there waiting for you. Strategy has 10K Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin cycles are dead. The days of parabolic Bitcoin booms and bust are over. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do something contrarian. I'm going to argue that he's wrong. But we haven't seen the parabolic ascent yet, right? You can't have the crash because we haven't had the ascent. We haven't had the real banana zone, right? You will have a banana move in Bitcoin. I don't know when. Well, actually, I do. It's in the GAN Patreon Platinum area. I have the date for the takeoff. I also have the date for the Solana takeoff, in a way, in the new piece about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, we're trying to nail it down to the dates where you buy and sell things, not investment advice, of course. You will see a parabolic in Bitcoin. If you want to know what date it starts, head over to the Patreon Platinum area. Now, very mixed feelings about this. On the 10th anniversary of their father coming down the golden escalator, Eric and Donnie T announced Trump Mobile, which I understand has some cool features. It'll probably wind up running on Elon's Starlink network, which is funny somehow. In any case, they're making money off this any way they can. I understand why, because everyone's already forgotten about the $400 million judgments against the Orange Man and these guys getting debanked, sued. And that'll all happen again when they're done, one way or the other. It'll happen again, which is why they're trying to make as much money as they can. Now, that said, I think the optics of this, people are starting to give this stuff the evil eye, right? The Orange Man made money on crypto and we didn't. They said that they were going to take our bags and they were going to, that the government was going to embrace crypto, and Michael Saylor is consulting for Pakistan. Again, the optics of this, the optics of, no war, and then, oh yeah, we're doing war. And then, oh, by the way, my kids are trying to like profit off this. Again, it's all optics. I'm sure the phone service is cool. I am going to confess, I didn't do it, but I wanted the sneakers and the red watch. I wanted the red Trump watch. I did. I thought it was cool. My high school and my college colors were red. I wanted it. I did. I didn't do it. Right. Because I know, popularity can change and those things can be substantially discounted. Okay. Conceptually, I like some of the things that the Orange Man said, but the Orange Man is currently acting like every other politician right now. And that is super bullish crypto. Super bullish crypto. Doesn't get any more bullish no matter what price action does. Okay, just in case you're wondering about sovereigns, here is Target in Los Angeles. Boarded all up. They had to put the Marines on the street, and no one cares. No one cares. Okay? It's like you do not have a cohesive society here anymore, which brings into question the value of our currency and our government bonds. The dollar must fall. The dollar will fall, as in go down in price. And of course, the bond market. Everyone has forgotten about that, right? If you have a moment where everybody goes, you know what? I don't think I like any of this anymore. And a whole bunch of senior citizens decide that they're going from treasury bills to Bitcoin, as Michael Saylor would hint. And the Minsky moment is that when everybody goes from a normal world to a not normal world, that's crypto. That's crypto with bells on. Then if the Fed comes in on top of that, I mean, again, any downside that you get on any war shock, oil goes up, bonds go down, you can't predict these things. I mean, you can predict that they want to completely destroy the Iranians. That's very clear. That's very clear. Okay. Whatever volatility you get off that, which is not clear, you're going to get a very predictable response from the Fed. And then everybody who supported no war is going to look at this and go, wow, you lied, or wow, I'm scared, or whatever. It's the ultimate moon your bags thing, which is why crypto was up this morning. It's just that we keep going back and forth between it's happening, it's not happening. That can work in your favor. That can work in your favor. Okay, again, Tron going public. Trump Mobile has Twitter. Like I said, I support their idea about making money. I understand why. Starting to get a little cringy. Okay, John McAfee is back on Twitter. John McAfee clips. Apparently, this was so controversial, people got upset about it. Good. Whatever gets the coin attention. Okay, so again, we covered XRP right now. One thing to note, if XRP is about to go into a trend, right, this is a classic setup, right? A classic setup for a trend is you go 1 through 9, you get a substantial correction, and then it resumes. Like, for real. Like, if this is the dip, XRP is going to $4. No one's talking about that because of this ETF thing. Okay, Solana gets dropped and gets bought immediately. And you know what? Even if Solana goes back down, this could be A, B, C. If you got Solana taking out the lows, take it, right? Just fade what everyone is. This is an environment where you just fade whatever people think, you just fade it, right? It's like it's going to 0, fade it. It goes up, it's going to the moon, fade it. They drop it, fade it. And again, it's Solana, the same thing, right? It's a 4-hour chart. You got the 9 top. Boom. I don't know what the daily chart of Solana looks like. Solana daily chart is inconclusive. ETH 4-hour chart. Now, the funny thing about ETH is they keep wanting to sell it to you at 2,500. Got nice support at 2,400, and they keep wanting to sell it to you down there. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't care what's going on. I mean, in some ways it doesn't make for good live television, but But 2,400 ETH is the elevator market update. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Right? I mean, basically what ETH is doing in my mind is kind of working off the bearish overbought condition from this 13 top. Right? It's just kind of, you know, working off the negativity. Very nicely, I might add. Bitcoin, 4-hour chart. Next big drop will be a 13 bottom, which is why I'm like, oh my God, man, if they give you the dip, just be there. And trust me, if they give you the dip, it'll be ugly. Ugly. Because they are going to launch on each other, right? The Iranians are going to lose it. They're going to use it. They're going to use whatever they got. You know, now, Bitcoin, it's one of two ways to look at it. Short sellers think it's A, B, C, right? And then possibly lower. I don't know, right? You got a lot of resistance at 110. And if 110 gives way, it's going to go much higher. If 110 is resistance, I don't know. More range trading. They're mooning your bags. And what's really funny is even though we're all down on Coinbase, I'm convinced people are going to Coinbase. They're seeing the bid offered spread and they're buying Bitcoin Cash. They're buying Bitcoin Cash. They're buying green Bitcoin. They don't know the difference, right? So Bitcoin Cash goes up when the whole market's going down in early June. Like market was going down, Bitcoin Cash was going up. Then Bitcoin Cash dips, then it rips up, does a 13 top. So they did a blow off top. They corrected for a couple days. It's a 4-hour chart. And then they ripped it again. They ripped it to the blow off top of the blow off top. 474. Now that's pretty chunky resistance, but they want to buy this thing. They want it. They're after this thing. Like in a very big way. It's funny. Green Bitcoin. The Roger Ver meme coin. Like, look at this. Weekly. 9 top. Nice, quiet correction. Nice little pause. Boom. They want this thing. They want Bitcoin Cash. They want Ethereum. Ethereum looks cheap optically. Solana's a joke. Hey, Solana, 150. It's like Litecoin. Solana's Litecoin. Except you're going to have $1 trillion worth of stable coins traveling on Solana. Like there's nothing negative about crypto other than the fact that, you know, everybody is doing ping pong on this geopolitical situation. Litecoin at 87. A lot of room to go to 132. You know, recently it was down here at 60, right? The low was 63. And if they took it down there again or scared everybody at 59, it's like, you know, in a way, you want the fear. Like, it's the ultimate cocktail for crypto. It's fear and then the Fed. Okay, so oil. Oil went up, obviously, and then it didn't go up enough, and then it went straight down. You know, everybody was all worried about this. And you never got the fear that everyone thought you were going to get. Now, the 200-day moving average is at 68. You had a LuxAlgo sell signal here. Oil broke support. What's the problem? Right? It's like these two sides kind of wipe each other out. The Iranians lose. That's it. Chinese aren't going to get involved. The Russians are not going to get involved. And as one geopolitical commentator said, this whole thing was pre-programmed, right? Radiation has a distinct signature. As soon as they got their radiation close to weapons grade, they were going to get taken out. That was going to happen. It's pre-programmed. And as soon as I read that, I'm like, okay, that's why the market is higher. That's why the Fed is probably in. That's it. I mean, you have to be mindful of dips, but the Fed's in. If they get war, you get Fed support. Watch Powell comes out in June and says, we have uncertainty, we have risks, we're mindful of labor market softness. Watch. All the language is about to change. The actions might not change, but the language might. Because again, everyone's on board with the deep state program now. So the Fed can cooperate, and the Fed is probably cooperating right now. Like, as soon as I saw this morning, I'm like, oh, high-powered money's in the system. Boom. Like when XRP was like flying like that, when you had all coins up like 5-10%, whoosh. The Fed is in. The Fed is in. And, again, hopefully nobody sold spot on this. Okay, National Security Council is now assembling for breaking news. Chinese are warning their citizens to leave the Middle East and Israel immediately. It does bother me a little bit that the Chinese get all their oil from Iran. It does bother me. But again, I have to just keep telling myself the Fed is in. The Fed is in, right? If they get the war that they want, they get Fed cooperation. And again, he's going to step up to the podium. He's going to say all these conciliatory things. The orange man will say you should have cut rates, but thank you for being conciliatory. He's also going to have to save the bond market, which we should look at. Okay. Crypto as an alternative to bonds. War as a catalyst for an adoption. Right? Now, what's really funny about this, about the bond market, we're just going to look at a tactical 89-minute chart. Okay. Now, interest rates went up. The 10-year note yield went up, but it's not a Ray Dalio meltdown. This is how you know the Fed is in. The Fed is in. Music Miracle says we've got tankers of crude ready for the Chinese. That's why the Chinese are not upset. Like I said, everybody thought this was the end of the world, and it's not. Everyone thought the Cuban Missile Crisis was the end of the world. That looked like it, but it wasn't. It wasn't. You fade the fear, and you don't fight the Fed. Because if the Fed wants all this higher, it's going higher. It's going higher. It is. And I mean, people don't realize that what happened in September of 2023, when that last administration wanted everybody to have a final Merry Christmas, the Fed was in massively. Like altcoins pumped. Solana went from 20 to 200 out of nowhere for no reason. I mean, yeah, that was the whole start of the meme thing. But you can't get the whole meme thing started without high-powered money. And high-powered money is in the system. It is in the system. Right? Look at him bring Solana back. Can't believe how far below this. Solana is below the 200-day moving average. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It feels like if you just look at crypto by itself, if you get rid of this macro lens for just a second, it's like, oh my God. And of course, they're dicing you, right? It's bullish, it's bearish. You see LuxAlgo getting all chopped up here. XRP never went below the 200-day moving average. This is what I can't believe, right? This is how you know. I think this ETF thing is going to be absolutely for real. Aero is up only. ETH DeFi is up only, right? Let me see if I can get, I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Sky is what Maker used to be, maybe? Maybe. I'll have to double check that. Right? Look how low Secret Network is. Privacy. Raydium. Dead. So many altcoins just haven't moved. Lee is like, don't forget the like button. I'm trying to get to 200 likes. Indie Rock Crypto, get oil on the dip. You just never know. That is the funny thing about geopolitics. You know, gold was going to $5,000 an ounce, and gold has not made a new high yet. Every single commodity is going to get bought against the dollar. Every single one. That includes water. That includes water. Okay. Interesting that you did get a new low in the dollar, and it does look like people are covering their short. MicroStrategy drooling over what happens if they get by this gap. So far, it's not. But this idea that Michael Saylor is some kind of like cowboy idiot that doesn't know any better and he's going to blow up the whole world, I don't think so, man. Okay, Grandpa Keeter's like, why not Moonpig? Dude, why not? Why not Moonpig? You know, man, if they have a Solana summer, like this is a good example of the fact that, you know, basically in altcoins, it's winter. And of course, you know, geopolitical uncertainty, you know, it's not exactly a buy Moonpig environment until the solstice, until you get in the Patreon Platinum area and check out when the buy zones are and why. And when you see why, right, we give you the when and the why. Degen on DeMark for Gion. No problem, sir. Okay. In theory, Degen could go lower 2 more weeks. If it did, that would give you a 13 bottom. Okay. I think the relevant thing about Degen, honestly, if you look at this on D-Wave, Elliott Wave, this is the first leg up in Degen in April off the tariff lows. Then they dropped it. Then they exploded it. That was May 13th. Then this grind down. That's a typical 4-wave, right? Quiet 2-wave correction. Broad Elliott wave, 4-wave, right? The second and the 4th wave are corrective. 2 is quiet. 4 is choppy and brutal. I don't know, man. Feels like they're going to go up here and make a new high. Like all these coins, the bigger the base, the higher in the space. Right? The bigger the base, the higher in the space. Joe wrapped ETH on DEX tools. So we were covering stuff like this on the YouTube member podcast this morning. All of these coins, pretty much the entire market, frankly, is doing this whole cup and handle thing. In some way, right? You know, if this is the case, this is a nice breakout. Right? The whole market's doing some kind of rounding bottom. Most altcoins haven't moved. Like, you know, one coin that we were looking at this morning that I'm kind of wondering about with all this DeFi stuff going on. That, you know, Toby did like 8 or 9 live big cap picks. I was kind of interested in Moonwell. I was like, ooh. I remember Moonwell doing really good. You got resistance at 32 cents. Most of this market hasn't moved yet. Okay. Aave. Look at the beautiful dip to support. How's Steve J doing in ETH DeFi? How's he doing? It's the bird on a wire getting ready to fly. You got 3 or 4 DeFi coins that do nothing but go up. And the rest of DeFi just quietly sits here. Quietly sits here waiting on support for the day when it's just go time. Right? Like, if you take a bottom-up approach to crypto, you're in crypto spring. Like Chainlink hasn't moved. Every big bank is going to come in and do real world assets in DeFi. And Chainlink is just not moving at all. Zero movement. You know, in other words, where is this going? Even if oil goes to 100, what are they going to do? Hit it one more time? What's the downside in some of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, this bottom up approach. It's winter. It shouldn't be, but it is. And if it's winter, how soon do you get spring? Especially if the Fed is coming in. Like I said, any geopolitical scare, any deep state cooperation. Like, I know everyone thinks that deep state cooperation is bad. You know, like it's just easy to smash the orange man over this kind of stuff. But if he goes with the program, the Fed will go with him. I mean, the graph, you know, is near its discount zone. They couldn't stay inside this accumulation cone. You know, that sucked. You know, to think that there's going to be no AI play inside of crypto, that the decentralized world is done. Crazy. Look at Syrup, DeFi, right? To get one of the game reports has another DeFi play that it wants to get long, and the timing of that is there. I can tell you this much. There was a tactical report. There was a tactical report, right, in here, right here. The fear plan. The tactical report wanted to buy ETH right out of the gate and Solana with a tight stop. And so far, you got something interesting. Oh, my God. Look at this. Members with the super chat. Can you check my new favorite token, Deep Book, for SOL Liquidity? Thank you, sir. I appreciate that you liked the live stream. By the way, you want to know the best reason to check out the YouTube member podcast? You might want to check out what Toby said about SOL. You might want to listen to that. So, Deep. SOL-based DEX. SOL-based DeFi. Sitting right near equilibrium, right on its 200-day moving average. The whole market looks like this. It does. It just so does. Oh, share screen. Okay, that would be helpful. Right on the 200-day moving average. In many ways, it's beautiful. LuxAlgo wedge. Right. And one thing you'll notice about the chart, okay, this zone where it is right now, this is where that last give up trade started from, right? This is where it broke, couldn't recover, broke. Right? It's just returned. Literally, it is equilibrium. It's equilibrium. Like, why would you not take your shot? You know, this goes back to another concept that we were using a while back, saying, hey, the backbone of SUI DeFi liquidity. I don't think anyone understands, and I'll leave it here. I don't think anyone understands what happens if people take a look at this geopolitical situation, if people take a look at the budget situation, if people take a look at fill in the blank, the orange man's new phone company, whatever, it doesn't matter. And people don't go, I'm done with this. I'm done. Now, hopefully, I hope people get the daylight scared out of them, because that will scare older people into adoption. That'll scare people into the crypto ETFs. And the Fed, they may watch the show. Okay. The Fed may watch the show. The Fed's in. The Fed's in. And if it goes down, they're just going to come in harder. They can't let the bond market go down. Trump's playing ball with the deep state. Powell's going to flip the language. And then you're going to have this whole system wake up. Now, is it going to wake up tomorrow? I don't know. But if you want to know when it is going to wake up, you want to listen to the YouTube member podcasts, because we have a fast one and we have a larger one where we just, Toby just lays it down quick for you. And then we got the deep research in Patreon Platinum. And don't forget the 6th Street Crypto podcast for the original Spartans that got this whole channel off the ground. Okay. The Fed is in. We'll see you tomorrow.